Hi, everyone. My name is Praveen. I will be the lifestyle coach today.
Hi everyone, my name is Swati and I'm going to be the participant today.
All right, let's go ahead and share screen. In some of our previous videos, it was kind of noticed that some of the text might not be very clear. So we would always recommend you to bring up the participant guide that's actually provided in the links. So that way you can kind of connect the audio to the actual text in case if the text is not visible or readable. Right. Hi, you guys. Welcome to the module 11. Today's session will be about managing triggers. And triggers are, so in this session, we'll explain what a trigger is and how they can create and recreate patterns connected to grocery shopping, eating, and sitting still. We also want to identify some common triggers for grocery shopping, eating, and sitting still, and ways to change unhealthy patterns associated with these triggers. Identify their own triggers that leads to overall eating or healthy choices. Describe how emotions and cues lead to food choices and eating patterns. Right. So we'll have all right, so let's go into this next one. Okay. So, we also want to make an new action plan. And some of the tips are, instead of buying treats for your loved ones, show your love in a healthy way. And that's kind of very normal. A lot of people, food is one way to show love, especially I see that, sometimes, like I want to treat my kids, one of the rewards is like, okay, let's go get a dessert or let's go to ice cream. So, so it's always good to actually change that sort of, atmosphere. And then there are many other ways to show love. Now, try not to snack when you watch TV. And that's actually a big no-no. And avoid eating out of large containers and bags and give yourself a single serving. So if you bring like a huge packet, like a Costco packet, and leave it open in the middle of the room, chances are you'll just keep taking it. So rather than that, I recommend just take even a small bowl and then eat from that. So at least you have an idea of how much you're eating, and reduce the time that you spend sitting. So get up and move around during TV commercials of every 15 minutes, and walk up a flight of stairs and walk around the house every 30 minutes or so. These are some great ways to make sure that you're not sedentary. Right. So here's the Martha story, part one. Swatika, would you like to read for us?
Sure, indeed. Yeah. So, Martha's story. Martha just learned that she's at risk for type 2 diabetes. She knows that taking small steps to change her eating patterns and adding more movement to her day can make a big difference in reducing her risk. On a typical workday, Marta gets up at 5:30 in the morning. As soon as she enters the kitchen, she starts making coffee. Just the smell helps her wake up. Then she warms up a pastry to dunk in her coffee. By 3 in the afternoon, she's getting drowsy again. So she stops at the coffee machine in the staff lounge. Her friend Adam is usually in the lounge at the time too, so she spends a few minutes chatting with him. At the vending machine, she buys herself another pastry to dunk in her coffee. Later that evening, Marta needs to unwind after a stressful day. So she curls up on the couch with her partner and watches TV. During one of the commercial breaks, she grabs a bag of chips and a couple of beers. Spending time with her partner, laughing together, and having a beer is one of Marta's favorite parts of her day. Sometimes she's so tired that she falls asleep in front of the TV, making it harder to get up the next morning.
Mm, that's
So I think that's it for Martha's story.
all right. So let's look at to the patterns that Martha has created in her day. So one of the reasons why we do these things is that you can actually identify some of the patterns that you have in your life. So it was a good idea to list them down and have somebody look at it to see if there are some patterns that you can actually help improve. All right, 5:30 a.m. Martha's kitchen alone, having a cup of coffee to wake up, having time to herself before she starts the day. This is positive. Definitely having a cup of coffee is good. I've read studies that, in moderation, coffee is good for you. It has some positive benefits. And at the end of the day, modern life, you need coffee, right? So
Yeah.
what needs to change? Highly processed pastry. So a 300 calories of the highly processed pastry is something that she can actually change. So, Sathikaru, what do you think that Martha should do instead of eating a pastry?
Probably she can go for something instead of pastry. Probably she can go for some low-fat biscuits, something that she wants to dunk in a coffee, or she can just go for a slice of toast.
Slice of toast. That's great ideas. Yeah. Yeah, I would, maybe, if you have any sort of like, um, like any sort of, what's the name I'm looking for is soaked, nuts, have some almonds, soaked almonds. Those are really healthy, stuff like that. Those are all much healthy as well. So, um, all right. So with that, I guess at 3 p.m., mentioned that staff lounge, Adam, leaving her desk, going for a walk to the lounge, talking to her friend Adam and getting a snack. But then she again tries a highly processed pastry, which is 300 calories. And that's again, it's very common in a lot of offices. They kind of keep a lot of these snacks for lack of a better healthy food. And what can change here?
She can actually have a fruit as a snack over here instead of the pastry,
Right, have a fruit,
or
uh,
some baked snacks.
some baked snacks, uh, have a have a low calorie snack, right? Like
Yeah.
such as nuts or um, and then also some low calorie biscuits, pretzels, right? These kind of things. So yeah, things that is low calorie but they kind of fill you up your stomach. A lot less sugar. All right, evening, Martha's living room, her partner, relaxing, enjoying time with her partner. And then I forgot to mention that she could actually have water too, right? Having water, you
True.
know, water is always good to, hydrate yourself. And the same thing here too, in the morning, have some water. So that way, you're like, it kind of reduces any sort of dehydration that you might have. All right, so evening, highly processed. Again, one of the things that that's positive by with her partner is having some relaxing and enjoying time with her partner and getting up during the show. So these are all really good, having so sort of a connection with some family member. But then what needs to change is highly processed snacks and drinks like 100 calories and falling asleep in front of the TV. So what could actually change here?
Uh, she could actually, again, choose something very healthy to have, and winding the day with some fruit is a really good idea,
Mhm.
which are light and which are easily digested. And instead of falling asleep in front of the TV, she can actually set up a time when they turn off the TV and then go to bed.
Yeah, put a timer and go to bed, and also just go for a walk with the partner. And that's always good to to get relaxed, if the weather permits. Especially after dinner, it's good to go for a walk. Any sort of like having some sort of a green tea, I think is also, I believe it also causes like you to sleep. So some of those things, it depends, but some of those, or chamomile, some of those teas, some of the teas actually help you get to sleep quicker. So use those as well. All right, so these are some great ideas. So let's get into the story, Martha's story part 2. Go ahead, Swati Garu.
So Marta takes action to manage her triggers to help her engage in healthier behaviors. For example, instead of falling asleep in front of the TV, she is going to bed at a regular time each night. So she has more energy when she wakes up. She still loves the taste and smell of her morning coffee, as well as having some time to collect her thoughts before she starts her day. But instead of having a highly processed pastry for breakfast, she has some quick oats with a teaspoon of maple syrup, some fresh blueberries, and few walnuts. Martha still likes seeing her friend Adam in the staff lounge. They've started taking a 10-minute walk around the block when the weather is nice. That way, they can get out of the office at least once a day, and they can also tell funny stories about their coworkers. Martha also stopped going to the vending machine at work. Instead, she brings cut veggies and dip, a small piece of fruit, or cheese and crackers for her afternoon snack. Martha still watches TV to unwind after a stressful day, and she really enjoys this time with her partner. But before they sit down for TV, they have started going out and taking a 20 to 30-minute walk, or when the weather is bad, they lift weights after dinner. Now that she has been doing this for a few weeks, they look forward to this time talking uh, about their day and laughing together. Martha also has 3 cups of popcorn and a light beer for her evening snack instead of chips. Martha was able to keep the healthy parts of her pattern while making small changes. As she practices those small changes, they will begin to feel more and more comfortable to her.
Excellent. I think that's great that what Martha did. I like that. All right, so let's get into this. So grocery shopping, eating, and sitting still triggers. So common grocery shopping triggers. When you're buying groceries, I see candy at the checkout counter and put some in my shopping cart. And when I receive store emails with coupon and sales, I can't turn down a good deal. I eat and buy whatever is on sale. So it's again, like, as South Asians, when we go to our stores, the biggest challenge is like near the counter, there are all these, snacks and mixes, chevda mix and all types of mixes. Those are so tasty. And the problem with them is, even though they don't have a lot of sugar, but they actually have a lot of sodium, and they're all fried. So they're not healthy as well. So that's something to keep in mind, to buy those sort of like snacks. Um, uh, am I right, Swati Garu?
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Couple of tablespoons of that is like almost 30% of your daily fat intake. Actually,
Right.
actually 100% of your daily fat intake.
And those gulab
Like
jamun.
a bowl of it.
Yeah, and those gulab jamuns are so tasty. So you're like,
Yeah.
oh, you can stop them, right? So yeah, I think you should try to avoid some of those, or like, like they said, have a serving size and then eat very little of it. And then when you go out to the movies, commonly we always get a big tub of popcorn to share plus some soda. I can walk by the taco truck on my lunch break without stopping and getting some. When I hear the ice cream truck, I buy an ice cream bar. My family gets a pizza every family night. I also have something sweet after dinner. And my friends always have chicken wings, beer, and chips after we watch the game. At church, my women's group has coffee and donuts. So one of the things about our triggers are the festivals. Every time when you have a festival, there's a lot of tradition to make, a lot of food, especially as like prasadam for the deities, and you always end up like making, it's a contest.
Polulu or
Yeah,
butlu.
Potlu, right? Pulihara, for us, Pulihara, Vada, and
Yeah,
prasadam, right? Like any sort of
absolutely.
halwa, right? That's like
Yes.
our like routine. But the problem with
Yeah.
them is, sometimes our kids don't eat that kind of, they're so accustomed to the American food. Sometimes they don't eat a lot of that. And then we end up eating all of that because we don't want to waste that. So
Absolutely.
sometimes, a well-meaning traditions actually are get in the way of getting healthy. So I think, and then when you have these sort of like, receptions or you go to functions, there's always a lot of food. Indian potlucks are always full of a lot of food, and the guests just keep insist you eat. So they keep putting food on your plate, and which is also very challenging. Not to refuse. It's kind of not considered nice to refuse.
Yeah, as
Mhm.
our tradition says, no wasting food,
Mhm.
annam parabrahmam. So that is like we consider food as God, and we do not waste what is in our plate.
Right. It's
So
considered
that
right.
kind of adds
Yeah.
up. So it's better to take a little rather than heap in our plates.
Right. And I believe, if that's the case, I would say share with some friends, and, if not, like stock it up in the refrigerator, but don't try to finish all the stuff. It ends up, it's really, even though Annam is Parabrahma Swarupam, but then your body is also a temple. So we need to make sure
Yes.
we need to take care of our body. So we don't want to wrong, wrong one thing with another wrong. So yeah. So I would recommend, keep your body temple and then keep it clean, and, don't add too much junk food to it. So I think those are some of the triggers that, we as South Asians, we have it. And, one other thing that somebody mentioned was just especially when you visit some friends and family, they always insist on giving you some snacks. And those are all like really, a lot of them for taste are all fried, like, pakoda or, a sweet, it's customary to give a sweet, and they're always like, not always freshly prepared. And sometimes they're in the fridge, and they are like a bunch of calories. But there are some of them are they have a lot of good nutrients. They are a little bit better than the snacks that you find in the US, in the stores, because they're somewhat freshly made and they're made from natural ingredients. But it's the moderation that's the key. So while having those snacks, try to go for a walk around the block, or there's always some healthy practices that you can incorporate to digest those calories. And then, Swatika, do you want to like to add for any of the common eating triggers?
Yeah, I guess when you're at a party, you end up, the appetizers, there's the endless flow of appetizers and then
Yes.
dinner. So it's like, and people tend to, force you to have more if your plate is empty.
Mhm.
So I would say keep a little on your plate and
Mhm.
eat a little by little instead of,
Mhm.
letting people looking at your plate empty, people will come and keep food in your plate.
Right, right, right. Absolutely. Some of the common sitting still triggers. My friends and I sit together in the cafeteria every day during lunch. Yeah, so that's always a challenge. I always play video games after work. That's a big no-no, right? Any sort of video games, they're so addictive, and you're always challenged, and you want to get to, you're like addicted to points, getting more points. So and then my family plays board games all Saturday afternoon. That's one thing, is to how do you balance, like, your family life with your goals of exercise, and staying fit and healthy. And when dinner is over, it's time for TV. So that's another thing, is like, well, you want to sit together and watch a show with all the family, gonna have like some crack some jokes, or some witty stuff with that. So that's always a challenge. All right, so let's see what you actually change those behaviors. Swati garu, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I mean, you can add Netflix and Amazon nowadays. So you tend to binge watch. Once you
Yeah.
sit down, you
Mhm.
tend to go through the entire series rather than one or two programs.
Right. Right. Those series are so addictive. Once you start an episode, you feel like you finish them. And yeah, and then social media is another issue, right? When you sit down and then you start watching some social media, with the algorithms that they have, they're so addictive, and they try
True.
to reinforce a lot of they really understand the human behavior and try to mess with it and try to suggestions that you'll keep watching for hours, and you're like, where did my time go, right? Where my so
Ah,
I would recommend, having a lot of mindfulness and be aware of where you are, and and then mindfulness really helps to get out of these sort of these habits. um, all right, so let's get into this. How do we change behaviors for grocery shopping, eating, and sitting still today? Right, work with your group. So ideally speaking, we would want this to have, like, our group to break up into some small subgroups. But I think right now we don't have that. But if you're watching this video on your own, I would recommend like just finding a family member or a friend, and you could try this. You can always like bounce it back with us coaches, and we can try to help you as well, or find a group for you. All right, so the grocery shopping triggers, if it's on sale and I have a coupon for it, right? Find ways to save money on healthy items instead, especially when you have these sort of like, dirt cheap prices on really unhealthy stuff you feel like buying, but that's not really a good way. Always look for, healthy versus not healthy. It looks tempting. So I always buy this. It looks tempting. So how do we, or what are some ways to form new behavior if it looks tempting?
Um, I think what you can do is l- look at the nutrition facts and see whether it's, even though it looks tempting, whether it has the good nutritional value or not. Try to
Mhm.
look at that, but I know it's pretty hard. But um, as
But
you keep looking, probably it'll get better, and then you will say no to things if you find it has like high fat and high sodium. And um since you've been following all these good habits for past 10 weeks, I think
Mhm.
that might help you. What do you think, Randy?
No, I think that's really good idea. So nutrition facts is one way to really look at, like, weight. If it has too much sugar, too much sodium, a lot of carbs, those are big no-nos. So I would recommend that. And then just think before you buy, just instead of just putting that in the cart, just think about it before you buy it. And if you think about it, do you really need that, for your family or yourself? And then, if it's not needed, don't add that. And also sometimes you can just add it to the cart and just right before the checkout counter say, I need to remove a bunch of things. So that way you get that out of the way, you get over that initial temptation. So and then, it's always easy to just take things out. And then look at the sugar and sodium and the carb fat percentages, and then like make a healthy decision, right? All right, so I always buy this. Yeah, just how do we resolve this one?
So just because we always buy this, we don't have to stick to that habit. Probably we can look for something new and something different and try to replace it.
Mm-hmm. And also like get a second opinion. Like for example, get a second opinion with a partner, or you know with a partner or a friend, and then say, hey, what do you think? And then that's always a good way to get some, usually people are more logical, for other people, even though you're more, emotion takes place for yourself. But if you have, let's say you have a friend who's pretty good at these sort of things, just get an opinion. Hey, this is what I eat. What do you think? And try to like get some advice on that, or even like Google on that, and Google or even Chat GPT, and then say, hey, what do you think? So that way, you can try to get out of that habit. Just remember that any habits can be, removed. It's all in your mind. You need to, if you have the right commitment, you can actually change yourself. So there's nothing that you cannot do, right? We can do everything that we get our mind to it. So Right. So I think with that, I think we spent a lot of time on this. So we'll skip the add your own ones today. And then, all right. So eating triggers. I like to nibble on chips or pretzels while I watch TV. So avoid eating out of large containers and bags and get yourself a single serving. I see the drive-through on my way home from work and stop. I'm enjoying this time with my friends or family. I deserve this. I am really hungry, and it's easier to open a package than to prepare a dish. This looks or smells tempting. I don't want to waste food. I see TV commercials or social media ads of tempting foods. All right, so these are some of the common triggers that people have. I would recommend you to fill this out. All right, the next one is sitting still triggers. So watching TV or sporting events, talking on the phone. That's always, you can always, walk around the phone while you're talking. Playing video games on the computer, I would say no to that. Don't play video games. Hanging out with your friends and family, you can always walk around, and get up and, and get some water and while you're doing this. Waiting in the car for kids to finish school and practice. So some of these you can just go for a walk, around the neighborhood, you can get some fresh air. Looking at my smartphone apps or social media. I think you can put reminders on your phone to prevent, stop some social media after some time. So those are some ways. Swatika, would you like to comment on any of them?
Um, so about talking on the phone, instead of sitting down and talking on the phone, you can actually do your work while talking on the phone,
Mm-hmm.
like cleaning up or un- removing the clutter. So it's you don't have to sit down and talk on the phone. And about excuse me.
Yeah, getting a Bluetooth headset and then,
Yes.
yeah, and then it makes you hands-free and you can continue to work on that or put it on speakerphone and, work on that. Right. So I guess with that, let's go to the next slide. All right. So my triggers. Below are examples of patterns to change, triggers associated with those patterns, and ways to change those patterns. In the space provided, complete the table as it applies to you. What patterns in your life do you want to change? What triggers those patterns? Finally, think about what you can do instead to avoid repeating the same patterns. Would you like to read this, Satyara?
Sure, Andy. So pattern I want to change is I always put candy bars in my cart when I finish shopping. I do such a great job until I get to the checkout lane. The trigger is stores put sweet and salty foods at the checkout on purpose. They know you're tired of making decisions, and it's easy to let a few candy bars, chips, or sodas fall into your cart. If you're shopping with children, they can also beg for these items. So what to do instead is you you can't avoid checking out at the grocery store. So make a plan before you get to the checkout lane. Pick out something healthy as a treat. If you have kids, have them pick out a fruit, special low sugar fizzy water drink, or healthy snack before you reach the candy bars. Plan ahead. So yeah, when you have little kids, it's really hard trying to, convince them not to go for the candy bars. So it's better, it's really hard convincing them to pick a fruit or anything. But I guess as we make it a habit, I think it'll be good all around though. And the other pattern I want to change is I am always starving right before dinner. As I'm cooking a healthy dinner, I find myself snacking on chips. The other day, I ate the whole bag I was making grilled chicken and broccoli. The trigger was It's normal to be hungry before dinner. Many people are cooking dinner after a long day, and we like to reward ourselves. Also, hunger can often be mistaken for thirst, especially as we age. So, what to do instead is plan a healthy snack to avoid hunger pangs while you're cooking. Find a new reward. Even 5 to 10 minutes of quiet time to yourself can feel like a big reward after a long day. Drink water with a splash of fruit juice to rehydrate.
Yes, absolutely. These are some good tips, right? Okay. And then pattern I want to change. When I visit my family, we sit in the kitchen and talk and eat all day long. I always overeat when I'm there. Family gatherings pose many challenges, such as dealing with family dynamics and eating certain foods and dishes that bring back memories and feelings. Make a plan, share it with your family and loved ones. Try to avoid eating between meals, but do enjoy eating with family. Bring or make a veggie tray for low calorie snacking and add vitamins, minerals, and fiber to keep you healthy. Plan a family walk or other activity that involves movement. So yeah, I think these are some good ideas and good ways to good patterns to change. So one of the things that it helps you to do this is having some sort of self-awareness, right? Being aware of what you're doing and identifying that those are some triggers, and then what to do instead. This is a very logical way to change your behavior, and I think that definitely helps you in the long term. All right, so let's get into emotions and cues that lead to choices. Here are some cues and feelings that often lead to unhealthy food choices. Take some time to think about an eating habit or a choice you want to change and why you would want to make this change and what you're going to do about it. Right. Physical or mental cue. I feel tired. So that's very common. And then when I have to stay awake and when I'm tired, eating helps me stay awake. I eat late at night when I'm really not hungry and the calories add up. I'm trying to go to bed earlier, but I can drink a glass of water or chew sugar-free gum when I have to stay up late to finish my work. So this is kind of like some ways to look at the emotions. Like for example, what's the underlying cause of your eating, right? You always leads to an emotion too. Like for example, either you're tired or you're stressed or you're angry, so or you're happy. So try to balance the emotions and then try to address the emotion first. And there are many ways to handle that instead of with food. Like for example, if you're tired, taking a break, if you're feeling stressed, getting, doing meditation. And then there are a lot of techniques, having mindfulness practices, yoga, etc. So all these ways that you could you could use to handle the emotion rather than keeping, food as a solution. Having food as a way to fix everything, causes a lot of problems. So try, food is the last of the options that you want to deal with, right? I think,
True.
Satika, would you like to add anything?
Uh, Yeah, I guess when you're stressed, probably take a breather and try to ease away from the situation instead of, going and uh, snacking or eating, you know, like making a habit of eating something to reduce your stress. As such, instead of that, just take a breather or walk around probably to relax.
Yes, absolutely. Right. So let's get into the next one. Again, there are many more mental cues. Like I feel nervous, when you're nervous, and then you're happy as well. I mentioned before, I feel bored, when you're bored, when you're lonely. Those are some of the things that you don't want to, you should not lead to food. Some people, when they have any sort of like nervous breakdown, I mean, any sort of issues, that they try to go to food as well. So all right, so these are like I mentioned before, this one is all about finding triggers, managing it, trying to find the root cause and get to the bottom of it. and not use food as the solution for all that. So I think if you can do that, then I think you're definitely gonna be, it'll be on top of your game. I'm definitely confident that you will be able to do that. All right. Thank you. Swatigaru, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I guess uh, analyzing what you're doing and when you're doing is a very important thing.
Hmm.
So, first, pinpointing the trigger that is causing the behavior will actually help in a long way to figure out how to change your behavior.
Right.
So, what do you think?
Yeah, no, that's a great suggestion. All right. So I think I would say, I just wanted to say thank you all for joining and taking this class. And we'll look forward to meeting you on the next module. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a nice day.
Thank you.